Welcome, welcome everyone. I am Stony Love. I hope that you are having a wonderful and lovely, blessed day. Well, today's show is about, I've been getting requests on this one. I put out a teaser a while ago, and we're talking about Wayne Williams. Now, if you're from Atlanta, you know that Wayne Williams is known as the child killer. And he's born as Wayne Bertram Williams, May 27, 1958. And can you believe it? He's in Wikipedia. And Wikipedia says he's an American convicted murderer and suspected serial killer. He's been in prison since 1981, and he was charged with the killing of only two of the many Atlanta missing and murdered children beginning in 1979. Well, over 44 years ago, Wayne William, who was only 21 years of age, was captured and tried for the murders of two of the victims. So this is, going to be a good show. I hope that you guys enjoy it. And please leave your likes, your comments, and please share the video. And if you like this channel, please subscribe and definitely um, we'll get back with you. In 1979, when the missing kids first hit the public radar in Atlanta, Georgia, it there were of course a lot of police officers who were involved. But there's this one particular officer who is speaking of the story of Wayne Williams was an exception. And he said that this case remained and etched in his memory due to the unresolved nature. Now, as you know, DNA was not, it was in its infancy back then. From 1979 to 1981, Atlanta experienced a haunting wave of terror as a serial killer emerged, singling out African American children as victims. Over those years, a chilling total of 29 Black children, predominantly boys, fell victim to this heinous acts. And the cause of death, most of the cause of death, were often involved of strangulation, adding to the unsettling nature of these crimes. The story was on the front page of every newspaper in America, becoming a widely known as the Atlanta child murderers and sparking a search for justice that would captivate not only the officer who is wanting this case to be open again, but the entire nation. Now, Williams, who has been considered the prime suspect in the case, has been behind bars since June the 21st, 1981. Now, I believe Williams is now 65 years of age, so if he was out on the street today, he will be eligible for Social Security. Interesting. But not for the murders of the Atlanta children. Williams was convicted of murdering of two men in a separate case, and a full accounting of his crimes has eluded law enforcement and the public. However, that could change. DNA technology, again, which was in its infancy at the time of Williams' investigation and his prosecution. New tools have emerged. Yes, y'all. New tools have emerged. Now, when Keisha Lance Bottom was the mayor, she called for a new investigation of DNA for Wayne Williams. Now, these new tools have emerged that may allow law enforcement to retroactively link the murder convict to some of the missing kids. Meanwhile, a larger scale reckoning over the legacy of Atlanta child murders continues to unfold. Now, in 1979, this was in the month of July, a woman hunting for aluminum cans in Atlanta found the body of Alfred Evans, 13, in a trash dump off the road near the fairgrounds. Police discovered the body of Edward Hope Smith, who was the age of 14, a few feet away. Evans had been strangled and Smith had been shot. Police initially believed the deaths to be drug related, and the crime was almost forgotten. Now, in the month of November, the bodies of Milton Harvey and Yusuf Ali Bell, who was only 9, were discovered. In 1980, March March of 1980, 12-year-old Angel Lanier's body was found. She was strangled, raped, and tied to a tree only a few blocks from her home. The next day, Jeffrey Mathis, 10, he disappeared. Now, May and June of the same year, which is 1980, the bodies of Eric Middlebrooks, 15, and Aaron White, 10, are discovered. 2 more children, Christopher Richardson, 11, and Latanya Wilson, who was the age of 7, were reported missing. Also in July, after the body of Anthony Carter was found in a warehouse dumpster, parents of the missing children began pressing city officials who were not yet investigating the string of murders as connected crimes. At this time, Earl Lee Terrell, 10, went missing after leaving a community swimming pool. Throughout 1980, Camille Bell, Yusuf Bell's mother, along with Venus Taylor, Angel, Lanier's mother, and Willie Mae Mathis, Jeffrey Mathis' mother, formed a committee to stop children's murders, believing there was a link between the cases. Months before, Atlanta police made the same conclusion. Camille Bell was appointed to head the committee. Now, we're into August and October of 1980. Clifford Jones, 13, and Charles Stevens, who was the age of 12, they were found strangled. Darren Glass, he was only 10 years of age, was reported missing. The Atlanta police doubled the size of their task force, and a $150,000 cash reward was offered for information, leading to the arrest and conviction of the killers. Now, y'all know in 1980, $150,000 was a lot of money. You know that. Now, December of 1980, the body of Patrick Rogers, 16, was found on the banks of the Chattahoochee River. Now, the Chattahoochee River is where it all ended, pretty much, for Wayne Williams. Now, we're moving into the year of 1981, January through February. The bodies of Luby Jeter, 14, Terry Pugh, 15, and Patrick Balazar, who was 12, they all were found, and Patrick was last seen with a friend near a phone booth on February the 6th. He was found strangled a week later. A kidnapped boy managed to escape from the back of a car when his kidnapper stopped at a red light. The boy, who was not publicly identified at the time, gave a description that matched Williams. We have moved into the 1981, and Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. held a benefit concert that raised over $200,000 to help the city, which was already feeling a financial strain of the investigation. The Reagan administration allocated over $2 million in federal aid to fund youth programs and set up resources such as a 24-hour tip line. Wow. I remember being a little girl and my mother telling me not to get in the car, not to talk to strangers. And at that time, we had an officer friendly during that time. And it was beginning to be a different time in Atlanta, you know. We used to be able to go outside and play on the streets was and not have to worry about much. But it's when all of this was happening, I was every bit of 9 years old. So a curfew for anyone younger than 17 was established in the city. The intervention was controversial. The FBI agents believed it to lead to the targeting of black men who were small in stature. Excuse me. The body of Eddie Duncan, 20, he was 20 years of age, and he was found in the Chattahoochee River. At the end of the month, as well as the bodies of Curtis Walker, who was 13, and Timothy Hill, which was 13. And as we approach the months of April and May, and the same year of 1981, the bodies of Joseph Jojo Bell, 15, Rogers, who was 20 years of age, Michael McIntosh was 23, John Harold Porter, he was 28, Jimmy Ray Payne, 21 years of age, and William Barrett, 17 years of age, were discovered. 5 victims were found near rivers. A surveillance team was then created to cover the bridge overpass and the riverbanks. And during one early morning, there was a stakeout. There was a stakeout. And I tried to get as many pictures as I could of the old days. And an officer heard a splash in the river. As Williams drove by in his station wagon, 2 days later, the body of Nathaniel Carter, 27, was found downstream from the location near where the body of Payne was found. Now, that night, Wayne Williams said that he was on his way to a showcase. He was like a scout, a person that was scout for talent. People still do that to this day. They look for people that are that are going to be successful or on their way up and have talent, and they want to represent them. So everybody knows who Sharon Showcase is. She had a skating rink and a talent lounge over in Decatur, Georgia. And Williams was at that time linked to her, um, getting, scouting these young adults, young people, aspiring artists to perform. So in June of 1981, FBI agents searched Williams' home, and after weeks of questioning and surveillance, he was charged with Cater's and Payne's murder. And I'm sorry, his name is Nathaniel Cater. He was 27 years of age. Authorities used still nascent forensic technology to connect dog hair and fibers from Williams' home and car to the victim. Now, you know that if you are getting fibers from a car, you know how many people had that fiber in their car? I think at the time it was only about 2,000 people in Atlanta, Georgia, and that could have been anybody. Well, as we roll over into 1982, Williams was found guilty of the murders of Cater and Payne and sent to prison on 2 consecutive life sentences. Now, when Wayne Williams had his trial, he was represented by a woman counsel. Now, he has filed many appeals, and he has yet to be exonerated for these crimes. Now, mind y'all, there was another suspect in this case, and it wasn't another black man. It was, I have to get the name, so let me get to that. I might be ahead of myself. So in March 1st of 1981, Atlanta police announced that 21 other connected cases could be linked to Williams and declared them closed. So the police never really looked for anybody else. They gave all of this to Wayne Williams. All of this to Wayne Williams. Now, I have a friend who was in jail with Wayne Williams, and Wayne Williams is in a Georgia State prison, and he is like a celebrity in prison. Yeah, he's like a celebrity. I guess you really got to be to make Wikipedia, huh? And so the police later closed another, bringing the total number of kidnapping and murder cases tied to Williams to be the number 24. In 2005, we're going to fast forward. May, the DeKalb County Police Chief reopened 5 Atlanta child murder cases previously linked to Williams, but no new charges were brought. And as we move into 2019, March of 2019, Atlanta Police, Fulton County authorities, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced they would re examine all the evidence using new DNA technology after learning the case was reopened. Williams again restated his innocence. Now, did authorities rush to judgment? Yes. Let me be the judge. I definitely believe that um, Wayne Williams is innocent. I do believe that there was a force in Atlanta during the time that was taking our children. And this is still happening today, but they're calling it trafficking. And it wasn't Wayne Williams. It was something bigger than Wayne Williams. He just so happened to be going across the bridge at the wrong time. So Wayne Williams is up for parole in 2027. Will there be evidence enough to exonerate him for the two crimes, the two individuals that he has been given a consecutive sentence for? At the time of the murders, William was in his early 20s working as a talent scout. Now, you remember I mentioned that, and a freelance photographer. Now, Jack Mallard was a lead prosecutor in the case, called Williams a virtual genius. Mallard used his phrase to describe Williams during his trial for the murder of the two men, Nathaniel Cater, 27, and Jimmy Ray Payne, 21. Now, I don't know if you can see the height of Wayne Williams. He looks like he's every bit of 5'4", 5'5". How do you kill a man that's 6'1"? I need the answer to that. Uh, uh, yeah, somebody tell me that, please. 5'11". Look at his size. He was that same size 44 years ago. His characterization, as they say, was not meant to praise Williams, but rather to underscore his cunning behavior and ability to navigate complex situations. Now let's talk about this fiber evidence presented in court. The investigation focused on using various fibers, including carpet fibers. Now, y'all know how many people got the same carpet fibers in their house? So many people. I see the carpet man out there right now in my yard. He's cutting, he is cutting carpet from somebody else's apartment off that same thread, and he's cutting carpet for another apartment off that same roll. So if apartment A go kill somebody, and they have that fiber off that same carpet roll, but apartment B killed them. Y'all already know where I'm going with this. Now, let me be the judge. These fibers were analyzed and compared to those from Williams' environment. Now, an environment is huge. A community is huge. That could be anybody. So when you say environment, I would prefer you say domain. Prosecutors claimed the fibers from the crime scenes were consistent with those from Williams' residence and vehicle, suggesting a potential evidence transfer between the location. Again, if you're making a car and you have the carpet and it's coming off the same roll, and 20 people bought that same car where that carpet came off that same roll, that's the same fiber that could be in purchase of 20 cars right here in Atlanta. I'm just saying. However, the fiber evidence has been a point of controversy and debate, and it very well should. Critics of Williams' conviction have raised questions about the validity and the reliability of fiber analysts as evidence, particularly given the potential for cross contamination or similar fibers in different environments. Ha! I hadn't even got down that far, and I had already figured out if it come from the same roll, it could be anybody. Some experts have said that the fibers can be easily transferred and shared throughout everyday interactions, making it challenging to establish a definitive connection. So, they really didn't have a case. It was all circumstantial evidence. Wayne Williams was in the wrong place at the right time for them to make the assumption that he was the one that made that splash 2 days before. If Wayne Williams were to go on trial today, he would be found not guilty. That I do know. Also, another notable case where fiber evidence was not enough to secure a conviction is the case of Ray Crone, also known as a snaggletooth killer. Oh my God, the snaggletooth killer? Crone's case highlights the challenges and limitations of relying solely on fiber evidence in criminal trials. Now, in 1991, so we're going to talk about similarity in cases. Crone was wrongfully convicted twice for the murder of victim Kim and Kanya, a Phoenix waitress. A key piece of evidence against him was a bite mark on the victim's body, which was initially believed to match Crone's dental impressions. Additionally, fiber evidence was presented at his trial, suggested that fiber found on the victim's body could have come from a jacket he owned. However, Crone's convictions were later overturned due to DNA evidence. The DNA analysts included excluded that Crone as the source of the bite mark and identified another man. Now, this man, so let me repeat what I said. The DNA analyst excluded Crone and the source of the bite mark and identified another man, Kenneth Phillips, as a potential suspect. Now, potential. Wow, these fathers just can't be concrete. This revelation cast serious doubt on Crone's guilt and raised concerns about the accuracy of the earlier fiber analysts. Now, we're going through the same thing here with Wayne Williams. In 2020, HBO released a 5-part documentary, Atlanta's Missing and Murdered, The Lost Children, which told the story of the investigation from the point of view of the relatives, community members, law enforcement, and reporters who experienced the events in real time. The series exposed how Law Enforcement Task Force included Ku Klux Klan members, forcing Black community members to form their own search groups while undergoing vicious public backlash. Now, I didn't want to say KKK, but you know what? I'm just letting y'all know what the articles say. They said it, I didn't. The Atlanta child murders laid bare the broader social injustices in the South and raised questions about racism and law enforcement. Is Wayne Williams still in jail? Yes, he is. And Wayne Williams, who has spent the last 40 plus years behind bars at the Valdosta State Prison, is still incarcerated and still proclaiming his innocence. He was denied parole in 2019 and will be eligible again in 2027. Former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who was a 9-year-old Atlanta resident in 1979 announced in 2019 that police should re examine DNA evidence from the case of 30 black children, teens, and young adults who were abducted and murdered in Atlanta between July 1979 and 1981. We all want justice for the families. I know I do. And this has been an ongoing story in my life since I am a resident of Atlanta, Georgia. And I remember this almost like yesterday. So um, I just know that um, we want justice for the families. We want justice for Wayne Williams. I do believe that DNA will prove and will show exactly who the killer is and was during that time. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this session today. Will DNA free Wayne Williams? Will he get parole in 2027? And if Wayne Williams was tried today with circumstantial evidence, would he be found guilty? I want to hear your feedback. Thank you for watching, and I hope and pray that you have a wonderful day.